Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thanks for joining on the snowy day. So we can get started. As you start to join,
Find my
was there a question? Okay. As you start to join, can you just put your name and your organization or your school that you're with in the chat? Thank you. So we're so excited to be presenting webinar 3 to you all, Breakfast After the Bells. If you aren't familiar with who I am, my name is Karyn Rice. I am the Child Nutrition Manager at New Hampshire Hunger Solutions, and I will be helping to present today's webinar along with Ruth Sullivan, one of our MPH interns from Southern New Hampshire University. So we'll be presenting today and hearing from some speakers as well. And we are hoping to keep today's webinar to just around 30 minutes, and we'll leave some time at the end for some questions. So let's get started. So today we will be discussing what the 3 breakfast after the bell models are, which are breakfast in the classroom, grab and go, and second chance breakfast. And we will also be hearing from school staff about best practices. And I will turn it over to Ruth to talk about the 3 models.
I think Ruth is muted.
So Ruth, can you come off mute?
Hi. Sorry guys. So I will be talking about what is breakfast after the bell. Breakfast after the bell was something that the Food Research and Action Center collaborated back in 2010 with several other organizations to establish partnership for breakfast in the classroom. This breakfast was designed to provide technical support and financial assistance to implement breakfast after the bell models. Since it begins, the partnership has collaborated with over 500 schools and 70 school districts to achieve its mission, which is to provide nutritious and healthy meals throughout the country. The breakfast after the bell model effectively increases students' participation and access to school breakfast. It involves serving breakfast in the classroom after the bell instead of before the start of the day. And studies have reported that this model has several benefits for students, such as increasing focus test scores and fewer missed days. Moreover, the breakfast has increased school breakfast participation by 25%. The next slide. And there are 3 breakfast after the bell models. The first one is called breakfast in the classroom, which works incredibly well in elementary schools, but it can be adapted easily for any age groups. It generally starts when students arrive at school, where breakfast meals are delivered to them either by staff or other students. And the whole process takes about 15 minutes. Some of you might be wondering about potential mess in the classroom. According to research, the menus are very simple. with the reduction of a mess in mind. Cleanup is easy, and students are responsible to take care of their own areas. When you compare breakfast in the classroom, studies find that 88% more students were eating breakfast compared to the 50% when breakfast is served in the cafeteria. The next slide. The second is the grab and go model. It is designed to give students more flexibility, which works very well in the middle and high schools. It usually is set up in a central location where school, which is either school cafeteria or at the entrance, making it quick, effective, and convenient for students to access either hot or cold meals. This model may include a point of sale machine that staff can operate during school hours. Trash cans can be placed outside or inside the classrooms for easy cleanup. By implementing the grab and go model, schools have seen a 64% increase in school breakfast consumption when compared to the only 50% when breakfast was served in the cafeteria. The next slide. And the third one is the second chance model, which is a very excellent option for middle and high school students. It provides a grab and go breakfast model that can be consumed later in the morning, given that some students may have missed breakfast, whether because they arrived late or were not hungry. So it gives them that last chance to eat. And according to research, when schools implement the second chance breakfast, 70% of students participate in the program, and compared to the 50% who would normally join breakfast. And that's it for the three models. Turn it over to Karyn.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruthie, for sharing and giving us some insight on what the three breakfast after the bell models are. So next we're going to hear about some best practices in some New Hampshire schools. And again, just a reminder, we'll save some questions at the end. But our first speaker will be Donna Reynolds. She is the nutrition services director for the Concord School District, and she'll be talking today about some of the grab and go stations they have. So now I will turn it over to Donna.
Hi, everybody. So we, as I'm sure many other school districts do, you know, have had a hard time implementing the grab and go model in our schools. You know, various reasons for that. You know, each school is a little different as far as their scheduling and the administrative buy-in for that. But we've had success at a couple of our schools with it. Stars have all aligned, and you know, it's working well. One of our schools, Abbott Downing School, has had tremendous success with the grab and go breakfast. So they have, it's offered in the cafeteria, and it's from 8:30 to 10 in the morning. And it's set up, as you can see there on the pictures, you know, right in the serving line. And the students have been very, very well trained by our head cook to come in and, you know, they grab a bag and they fill their bag with the breakfast. It's kind of on the honor system. It's like a well-oiled machine. They know exactly what to do and what to take. And her breakfast has increased, has almost doubled her breakfast numbers since implementing the grab and go breakfast. One of our other schools, Krista McCullough's school, does a similar setup where the kids come in after the regular breakfast and they do theirs from also 8:30 to 10. And they have everything bagged up and ready for the students just to grab a bag. And their numbers haven't increased quite as drastically there, but they have increased some. And they serve, whatever she has for the regular breakfast is what they offer for the grab and go breakfast. Abbott Downing does it a little bit differently. They have different items that they offer on the grab and go breakfast, more along a snack type of item, but still items that we can claim as a breakfast. And it just has really taken off there. Everybody, from the school administrators to teaching staff, everybody there is really on board with what they do, and it just works really well there. We're trying to get that into the other elementary schools. It's been a little bit more difficult.
Awesome. Thank you, Donna. And I love the pictures that you shared and how you utilize the service area for doing the grab and go stations.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's worked really well. Staffing is also an issue for us. We only have 2 staff members at our elementary schools, which is in my opinion not really enough for all of the things that they do, with breakfast and lunch and the fresh fruits and vegetables program. So they make it work the best way that they can with the grab and go, and this is, in these 2 schools at least, has worked really well. And it just gives those students an opportunity, either students that ate breakfast at home but need something at snack time, so they consider it a snack, we consider it a breakfast, and it just works for everybody. And we, talking about the barriers, the administration is one of the barriers, and not that they're extremely opposed to us offering a grab and go breakfast. It's just the logistics are different in each of the schools. So just trying to work through that can be a challenge sometimes. And again, like I said, staffing on our end. There's usually only one of our staff members in the kitchen in the morning, so they have to, be able to prepare for the grab and go the day before and have it ready.
Great. Well, it's great to see and hear about the increase in breakfast participation that you were able to see with implementing this model. So thank you for sharing, and we will leave some room for questions for Donna at the end. So next we will move on to hear about the Woodland Park pilot. So our next presenter is Jessica Gorin, the Social Impact and Development Director from New Hampshire Hunger Solutions.
Thanks, Karyn. So when I started with New Hampshire Hunger Solutions as a consultant, we had an opportunity to pilot breakfast in the classroom with Woodland Park Elementary School. We started off by doing some surveys with the students, with the teachers, with the food service staff and the administration, kind of find what the best model would be to do breakfast in the classroom and what types of foods to serve. So we added some breakfast sandwiches and some other items to the menu that weren't on there before. And we also took the breakfast orders. We ended up doing this in the 4th grade only. And we took the orders for breakfast the day before. So on Friday, you would take Monday's order for breakfast. And all students had access to it. And the parents were able to opt out if they did not want their students to participate. The food service staff would put things in cooler bags and drop them off to the classroom. And the kids were able to eat in the classroom. And you can see, I'm sorry, guys, I'm doing this from my phone here. So when you look at the charts, you can see that during the pilot months, which were April and May, that there was a huge increase in participation in the free and reduced populations. and even in the paid populations. And I think that what was really interesting that we learned was that just by offering breakfast in the classroom and going to events and talking to parents and talking to students and letting them know that breakfast was available, we saw a 20% increase in school breakfast by serving breakfast in the classroom in the fourth grade population, but we saw a 14% school-wide increase in breakfast participation because we were promoting breakfast in that school. So breakfast nudges are also huge. We know that there's an increase in participation just by talking about breakfast with students and asking them about it. So this was a great opportunity just to show that when you do make breakfast more available to students by offering it in the classroom, that you will see an increase in participation.
Great, thank you, Jessica. So before we move into opening it up for some questions, I was just curious to see if there's any school staff that would on the call or on the webinar that would like to share anything that they're doing for a second chance breakfast, and anything they'd like to share with what they've seen so far. And if not, it's okay, but I figured I'd open it up in case anyone would like to share. Okay.
People are thinking of examples. I just want to share one story that I've been sharing a lot lately because I feel like it's so important. We just received a lot of the Department of Ed's participation data from 2018 to 2023. So we are able to compare when school breakfast was free for all compared to when breakfast is not. School breakfast and lunch are not free for all, and the models change. But one school district that we were working with, the high school and the administration would require that the doors would lock after the bell. So kids could have breakfast before the bell, they could go into the cafeteria, they could grab their meals, and that was fine. But then when the bell rang, the doors to the cafeteria locked, the custodians came in, cleaned up the cafeteria, and the doors wouldn't open again until lunchtime. And we worked with the food service director and the administrators and explained the importance of school breakfast and why having that second opportunity after the bell to have breakfast was so important. We also explained to them, we found out that they had a pantry that they were funding by teachers, administrators, and nursing staff. And the students were, after the bell, going to the pantry to get the food. So not only were they missing out on breakfast, which was a reimbursable meal, but teachers and administrators were paying out of their pocket for snacks to feed them after the bell. The participation rate was around 27%. With the doors locked in school breakfast. Once the doors were unlocked, we saw participation go up to 42%. So about a 15% increase just by having the availability for students to walk into the caf and get a meal after the bell.
Thank you, Jess. So thank you both so much for sharing and some of the great work that's going on in the state. We did want to save some time for questions, so feel free to come off mute or put your question in the chat if you have anything for Jess, Donna, myself, Ruth.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Jenna.
It probably maybe for Donna or for anyone, but I was wondering because as she was describing, one of her elementary schools was offering the opportunity to go in from like 8 to 10 or 10:30 or something like that to grab the grab and go meals maybe. And I wondered, she also then mentioned the fresh fruit and veggie program, and I know that one of the limitations of that grant is to not offer it during meal times. So at our school, we give that during snack because breakfast is done and lunch hasn't started yet. But how do you wrangle that around? Or what, how does that work?
All right. So that's a good question. So, so there's just a tiny bit of time between when they offer the fruit and vegetable program and when they stop offering the grab and go breakfast piece.
Perfect.
So
So you do stop that just like right before you offer the
yes,
snack. Do you
yes,
do your fresh fruit and veggies at snack time?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right,
Yep. So you
That
mean
sounds good.
for what the school considers their snack time? Is that what you mean?
right, yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
okay,
Yep. For the most part, I mean, I wouldn't say that that is the case at all of the elementary schools because they each kind of have their own time.
sure,
But for those two schools, yes,
okay.
it usually is at snack time.
All right, and do you have somebody who's available to check those kids out? I wish we could offer our breakfast later. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Our cafeteria, we've one cafeteria staff in the morning at breakfast, and a second one comes in after breakfast to help get the lunch prepared. I don't know how, I'm not sure how we would track the kids that are coming to get a late breakfast.
Yeah, so we have at Abbott Downing School, the kids scan their own cards at breakfast and at
Oh,
lunch.
yeah,
Our
we don't have
system.
those.
And yes, that's a lifesaver because you don't
Yeah,
have to have somebody standing right there,
that's the key.
watching over it the whole time. You just have, the two staff members working right there kind of, in the background so they can see and kind
Yeah.
of keep an eye on what kids are doing. But as I said, the kids are just trained so well, so they just grab their card and scan and go.
No,
And
that's
it
awesome.
works
We
really
are,
well.
resistant to scan cards at this moment.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's kind of a lot to get set up depending on what the system is that you have. But once
Yeah.
it is set up and all the
Yeah.
kinks are worked out and the kids are trained, it's fabulous.
All right. Thank you so much. That's super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Donna. Jim Connors from Manchester. Have a question for you.
Sure.
So when you do your second chance breakfast, and you said it's from like 8:30 to 10:30 after
The 10. Yeah.
So the students come down, does the administration just let the students out of class to come down all en masse, or is it coordinated where each classroom comes down at a different time, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's staggered. And honestly, I'm not sure of the exact, way that they choose who comes down, but they don't all come down at once.
Okay.
So it's a little bit staggered.
Yeah, right now we do grab and go for just about all of our elementaries for breakfast. So when the kids come in, they can grab a bagged breakfast and take it with them. And a lot of the schools are already eating in their classroom at normal breakfast time. But we're trying to ramp that up and really push a second chance for breakfast after the bell or something like that. Great. All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions that anyone has for myself, Donna, Jess?
There's a couple questions in the chat, Karyn,
Oh,
about
thank
universal
you.
meals. Yeah.
Okay, so first question, are there efforts for universal free meals? Is there data tracking the cost of administering for those not on the non-free or reduced program? Jess, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, so we're taking different policy steps to work towards universal free meals. We're working on the Hunger Free New Hampshire Act right now, which is SB 499, that will help schools to offer community eligibility provision, so those schools are eligible. The community eligibility provision is something that USDA offers as a mechanism to offer free school meals to all if there's over 25% direct certification, which means that those are families who also receive SNAP, TANF, or part of the foster care system. So that is one mechanism that we're working to get New Hampshire to cover the difference for schools. There is a small cost for schools to participate in CEP. That might be a barrier. So we're asking the state to cover that cost. We are doing different calculations in order to understand the cost. Right now with CEP schools only, to cover the cost of if every CEP school participated, it would be about $7 million for the state to participate in CEP. So we will have more numbers to come, but we do know that that's the cost. Medicaid direct certification is something that we don't have legislation on this year, but our state is requiring it because it does increase the adequacy funding for schools from the state. So the state would have to pay more in adequate education funding. But Medicaid direct certification would directly certify students for free meals and reduced meals when they are eligible for Medicaid. And it would reduce that paperwork burden for food service staff and for the families. Brody, did I leave anything out of there without going too far in the weeds?
No, I think that was good coverage. I'm gonna put in some links so people can see the Hunger Free New Hampshire Act and some information, and I'll put in our legislative priorities. But yeah, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and while all our neighbors around us are, starting state programs for universal meals, New Hampshire has been a little bit slower to take up anti-hunger measures in schools. But we're working with legislators and partners to create omnibus legislation or support other bills that will make it easier for children to access food in schools. So I think, Jessica, you covered it very well.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you. If there are any more questions, please feel free to email me, krice@newhampshirehungersolutions.org. If there's any questions after the webinar, any nudge related questions or questions about the turnkey grants, you can contact Laura Amalayo from the UNH Extension and Becca Story from New England Dairy. And just throwing this in there for the current the turnkey grants, the next round will be coming up in March. So just wanted to share that. And just let you all know that our next webinar will be on January 30th, where we'll be just talking about social media and communication and importance with increasing school breakfast. But we thank you all for joining today, and hope you all found today's webinar beneficial. And thank you to our speakers today for sharing. Thank you all, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.